blocks for development of building blocks for the development of what is coming in the school years as the understanding of numbers, symbols, emotional control, hearing, vision. So vision, hearing is all the sensory. So you see the transition needs to be very smooth from the preschool to the primary in terms of the curriculum, and that is what the foundational stage curriculum is being talked about, that there has to be a curriculum for 3 to 8 years, not 3 to 6 years. And that curriculum, if it is founded, if it is continuous, it is going to be very facilitative for the children, because you may be delayed in certain respect as a child, or you may be ahead. But that provides for both, because there is no clear demarcation. But it is very important to give those foundational skills through direct experience with activities to the children, so that when they come into the school, they are ready to be able to understand the literacy and numeracy that they are engaging with. Health and nutrition, we know stunting is a major issue in terms of learning, and as research shows, children stunted in the first 2 years have lower cognitive scores. They have delayed enrollment and higher absenteeism. They fall ill more frequently. Undernutrition and hunger. And now we have the junk food, obesity. All these are coming in as major issues. Plus the environment. Today the environment is becoming very, very significant, the climate change and the environment. And there are so many, I'm sure, cases you must be having encountering of respiratory issues in children. So all those become very, very important to address as well, in addition to the learning requirements. And then, of course, there are physical health, mobility, and special needs. Children with special needs, how they have to be included in the school classrooms. A very significant brain research finding, perhaps you may have encountered this somewhere, is that if children have adverse, somebody mentioned the families, I think you mentioned, right? That family structures are changing, the family situations and contexts are changing, getting more variable. Plus there are other situations also children sometimes encounter. So if there is a lot of adverse experiences happening in the life of a child in these earliest years, if you see, it is so amazing, even I was very amazed to see this finding, that it is not only leading to school failure or school retardation or other health issues at the middle childhood stage. If you see in terms of long-term impact, it is seen that these adverse experiences stay with the child for life. We say whatever happens in the earliest years stays for life. These also stay for life, And these can cumulatively lead to impact on their economic situation, their learning, their sort of livelihood opportunities, reduced productivity and prosperity, and most amazing, it can even lead to very many lifestyle diseases. If today we have any of these diseases, or many people have, like cancer, diabetes, what else? Blood pressure, high blood pressure. Somewhere this can be linked to some adverse experiences in their childhood. So it sounds very unbelievable, but that's how it is. That is the kind of impact the earliest years are making in life. So we have to provide them and engage with the parents to ensure that they have a very wholesome environment for growing and learning. So what are the shifts? I think all of you know the 5 C's. I don't have to go into that because I think everybody is talking about them. But there is a shift. Now it's not just important to just learn to read and write. But to read and write with meaning, with ability to be able to communicate, ability to be able to think critically, not copy-paste, ability to have compassion, cooperation, creative thinking. Now all this is easy to see, 5 C's, easy to say, 5 C's. How do you incorporate it into the curriculum? That is the challenge. So what do you need? You need to have an interactive learning sources to be able to do that. It cannot be just a teacher, didactic teacher and the children sitting at a desk. That is not going to lead to any of this, the 5 C's. So you have to have interactive learning these can be the parent and the family. The families have to be brought into the picture. The child comes to you for how many hours? 3 hours. 4 hours, 3 hours. The rest of the 24 hours, the child is at 20 hours, the child is at home. So the child is learning every minute. So what he is doing at home, or she is doing at home, is not only equally but perhaps more important. And therefore the child needs to be, or the parents need to be brought into the picture. The peer group, there has to be a lot of interaction with children in their classrooms. So my favorite thing is that when I walk into a classroom, what would be a good classroom and what would be a not so good classroom? According to me, if I just walk into one indicator, I walk into a classroom, I'm quite tall and nobody knows me. Not a single child looks up. There's absolute the buzz of activity. Nobody looks up. And what is not so good classroom, the minute I walk in, everybody stands up to say, "Good morning, ma'am." You get it? Any picture you see with a good preschool play-based pedagogy, children don't look up. I have seen it from country to country. That there is one uniform response. And that is the key to good practice. Social-emotional development, I think you have a session on that also, if I'm not mistaken. But there is a lot of talk, again coming from brain development, about working memory, task perseverance. We see that a lot of teachers talk about attention deficits, about children not being able to complete the tasks, the lack of motivation to learn. All these, the sources in the early childhood years, to a large extent. How can we make children be more engaged with all this? How do we ensure that they develop a good working memory? How do they start an activity and continue and complete it? How do we ensure a lot of communication skills develop, creativity and cognitive flexibility, emotional self-regulation, compassion and cooperation, which are very much a part of emotional intelligence, and critical thinking, more or less aligned with the 5 C's. So, what are the kind of opportunities children need? According to me, the best source of this in an early childhood setting is a free play activity. Having 1 hour or at least 40 minutes of free play with materials without interference from anybody, allowing children to handle that, to make the most of that opportunity for that time, will take care of it. You don't have to do anything. All as a teacher you have to do is be around, interact when you feel there's a need, encourage, comment, but not interfere. And let children do their own thing. As somebody said, all the life skills of life get developed in that situation. Children learn to negotiate, children learn to make decisions, children learn to communicate, they learn to cooperate, they learn everything that they would need as adults when they grow up. So that activity itself is a very good activity, and otherwise the play-based pedagogy itself allows the teachers to help children develop this. The more you try to make it teacher-centered, the less you'll be able to develop, because you're taking away the agency from the child and you're taking control. And the children will not develop these abilities on their own. Social-emotional development is a kind of the cognitive development is kind of embedded in social-emotional development. Unless the children are social-emotionally sort of comfortable, there will be very little cognitive happening. So what is this, the final shift? What is the shift that I see from a holistic approach? From a teacher-directed, didactic teaching to a classroom situation where the child's agency is important. And there is a blend of free and guided play-based pedagogy. From an English medium to a bilingual approach in the early years, so that children are able to understand what you are saying. And I'm saying this from personal experience. I was working with a school in Delhi. After I retired, some principal asked me to come and help with their curriculum in the early years. So when I went there, I asked those, when she told me to come and I said I would like to meet with the teachers. So I asked the teachers, what are you doing? And they said, we are an English medium school and we talk to the children in English. I went and saw their classrooms. So the teachers were talking all in English. The children were sitting. I asked them, what is the age group the children are coming to? They said 3 years, 3+ to nursery. So I asked this question, what percentage of these children, and I'm laying this before you to just sort of contemplate yourself, what percentage of these children actually come with some familiarity of English from home? And you know the answer I got? I don't know what it will be for Salwan school. They said 18 to 20%. So I said that means 80% of the children are sitting in the class, you are speaking, they are not following. So what else can they do? They are just sitting. So then they said, no, we are an English medium school. If we withdraw, if we stop English, we don't have English medium, then parents will take the children out. I said, so they refused. They said, I said, you have to have a bilingual environment if you're going to have me engaged. So then I said, okay, then I will do it. So the principal said, nothing doing, you have to do it and they have to do what you're telling them. So principal ka danda tha. So the teachers very meekly followed whatever I was saying. A couple of weeks later, not even months later, when they started, I went to the school once a month I used to go, and this teachers tell me children are not stopping talking. Bolte hi chale ja rahe, they are so excited, they are so active. So I said, why do you think that's happening? So they understood, because they are following what is happening in the class and they're enjoying it and they're able to express themselves. But parents are still an issue. And you will not believe it, I'm not exaggerating. This was in April, May of pre-COVID, just a year before COVID, or 2 years. July, your schools reopened. July or early August, they had their first parent-teacher meeting of that year. And I still have that visual in my mind that I got out of my car and this headmistress of the thing, she came running to me and said, you know, we just had a PT and the parents are thrilled. And I said, why, what? Even I was surprised because I had actually a fear in my mind, parents will, it will be difficult to convince the parents. The parents said, our older children were coming to the same schools and they didn't want to come to school. They used to cry to come to school. These children want to come on a Saturday also. They are so excited. This is the parents saying that, and they were very receptive. So sometimes it's a misunderstanding that is why, because parents don't know any better. They think that is what the school is doing is right. So somewhere, I think it's very important to keep the parents informed. So that's the English medium. Exclusive focus on literacy and numeracy. This is the thing that is gone. Somebody, 2 days back, I was in a meeting and one of the principals was saying, when will we teach ABCD? I said, never. So it has to be moving away from that exclusive focus to focus on age-appropriateness of the competencies. Sorry, I think I'm mixing up. The next one is focus on oral language development and meaning making through print awareness and developing interest in reading. So introduce reading, expose children to books, expose children to text, but in a meaningful context, an interesting context. So they learn, they get interested in reading, they want to pick up books and do kind of mock reading, and be able to make attempts themselves to be able to engage and decode the words. So that is a process, that is what the new process is. Not teaching them the slanting lines and straight lines and writing endless pages of the alphabet. And the last one is, currently in most schools, again I'm not talking about Salwan schools, little involvement of parents. Parents must be partners in the children's learning. So a lot of parental engagement, parental involvement, and parental education also, to be able to make this a success. So I think that's what I'd like to say. Thank you very much.